Hello and welcome, chosen ones. Every moment they cling to what was never theirs, the weight of their debt grows heavier, pressing into realms they cannot see or comprehend. This is no longer just a matter of material theft. It is a spiritual imbalance, a cosmic equation demanding resolution. They believed their cunning could outwit justice, that time would erase their wrongs, and that silence could shroud their greed. But the universe keeps perfect records, and the scales of balance are always in motion. With every passing day, the interest compounds, not in ways they can count, but in ways they will feel. What they held back has not diminished. It has multiplied, waiting for the moment of release. Their refusal to make amends has only accelerated the inevitable, turning what could have been a simple reckoning into an avalanche of restitution. What they thought they buried is rising, stronger, greater, and unstoppable, as the universe ensures that every wrong finds its rightful correction. What they took wasn't just tangible, it was the essence of what was meant to propel you forward, the energy tied to your purpose, the threads of your destiny, intricately woven into the fabric of your life. But what they failed to realize is that destiny cannot be stolen. It can only be delayed, and even then, only for a time. Every ounce of energy they tried to hoard, every resource they diverted, has been working in your favor, multiplying in the unseen realms. What they believed they could keep was never truly theirs. It was a debt accumulating interest, a force gathering strength, waiting for the moment to return to its rightful owner. Now, that energy is no longer dormant. It's alive, expanding, unstoppable, and it's coming back to you, not in the measure it was taken, but in an abundance they could never have imagined. What was blocked is now a flood, what was withheld is now overflowing, and what was stolen is now a force of restoration beyond their control. What they once celebrated as progress, as triumph, now reveals itself as a fragile illusion built on borrowed time and stolen ground. The cracks in their foundation are no longer subtle. They are gaping, undeniable, and growing wider with every passing moment. What they thought they could enjoy without consequence now weighs on them like a storm they cannot escape. The walls they built for protection are crumbling under the weight of their choices, and the debt they created is no longer something they can hide from. It grows heavier, more relentless, demanding to be repaid. But when it returns to you, it will not simply restore what was taken, it will come back multiplied, overflowing, transformed by the hands of divine justice. For what was stolen was never just wealth, it was opportunity, purpose, and power, and now it returns to you in greater measure, unstoppable and undeniable, while they are left to face the ruins of their own greed. Justice is no longer a distant promise. It is the present reality, unfolding with precision and inevitability. They believed they had escaped accountability, that what they took would remain theirs, untouched and unchallenged. But the forces at work are beyond human comprehension, balancing the scales in ways they could never anticipate. Every ounce of greed, every act of betrayal, every resource they clung to is now turning against them. What once seemed like fortune is unraveling, slipping through their grasp like sand through trembling fingers. Their wealth diminishes, their businesses falter, their relationships fracture, all under the weight of a debt they can no longer ignore. And as the cracks deepen, so does their suffering, sleepless nights filled with dread, unexplained failures, and a gnawing emptiness that no amount of effort can fill. They try to rebuild, to replace what they've lost, but the harder they fight, the faster it crumbles. For what was never meant for them will never bring them stability, and the more they resist, the more they are consumed by the chaos they created. Peace will not come until the balance is restored, and what was taken returns to its rightful place. You don't need to act, to chase, or to demand. Justice is already unfolding, and it knows exactly where to strike. What they thought was secure, untouchable, and theirs forever is slipping away faster than they can comprehend. Every dollar they hoarded, every opportunity they stole, every resource they blocked is now turning into a liability they cannot escape. Their wealth, once a source of pride, has become a source of torment, vanishing inexplicably, failing unexpectedly, crumbling irreversibly. It's as though the very fabric of their success is unraveling, thread by thread, and no matter how hard they try to patch it together, the holes only grow larger. The universe does not forget, and it does not forgive when balance is violated. What was stolen will return to its rightful owner, and what was hoarded will scatter to the winds. This is not vengeance. It is the unbreakable law of harmony, ensuring that no one can keep what was never theirs to begin with. The balance is inevitable, unrelenting, and absolute. At first, they cling to excuses, market downturns, unpredictable circumstances, sheer bad luck. But the pattern is undeniable. The cracks widen, the losses accelerate, and the harder they try to regain control, the faster it all slips away. What once felt like power now feels like a curse, a weight too heavy to bear. Their stolen wealth, once a symbol of triumph, has become a relentless force of destruction. It doesn't bring them peace, it brings turmoil. It doesn't bring them freedom, it chains them to sleepless nights and mounting fears. Every desperate attempt to patch the sinking ship only hastens its collapse, because this isn't random misfortune. It's the universe restoring what was never theirs to keep. The foundation they built was never solid. It was stolen, temporary, and destined to fail. And now, as the ground beneath them gives way, they begin to understand. What was taken must always find its way back to its rightful place. Piece by piece, the illusion of their security crumbles, not through violence or vengeance, but through the quiet, unyielding hand of universal law. The debt they refuse to acknowledge is being collected, and no amount of effort can stop it. The home they once flaunted as a symbol of their success has become a source of endless frustration, pipes bursting, walls cracking, appliances failing one after another as if the very structure rejects them. The car they cherished as a trophy of their achievement now drains their pockets with constant breakdowns and repairs, never staying fixed for long. No matter how much they pour into maintaining what they built, it continues to fall apart, as if the universe itself is dismantling their false foundation piece by painful piece. What was taken unjustly cannot remain, and now all they once held slips through their fingers, leaving only the weight of what they owe. One by one, the ventures they poured their stolen wealth into crumble into dust. Promising deals evaporate, trusted partners walk away, and profits vanish like smoke in the wind. What once seemed like a golden future has turned into a never-ending nightmare of losses and liabilities. It's as though the very foundation of their investments rejects them, poisoned by the greed and deceit that built it. The wealth they thought would secure their legacy has instead become a curse, dragging them deeper into debt, misfortune, and despair. Every stolen dollar, every dishonest gain, now weighs on them like an anchor, pulling them further from the stability they sought. What they thought would elevate them has done the opposite, leaving them trapped in a cycle of collapse and regret, unable to escape the consequences of their actions. No matter how hard they try to rebuild, to patch the cracks, or to salvage what's left, nothing holds. What they took was never meant to thrive in their hands, and now it crumbles faster than they can repair it. They thought they could build an empire on stolen soil, but the foundation was always weak, riddled with fractures they refused to see. Every effort to fix what's broken only deepens their losses. Every attempt to force progress drives them further into despair. They are beginning to understand that they didn't just take wealth, they inherited the consequences of their greed. What was stolen was never theirs to keep, and it carries a curse that no amount of effort can undo. Meanwhile, as their world collapses, your path is clearing. What was blocked is now opening. What was delayed is now arriving. You don't need to chase or struggle. What is meant for you flows effortlessly into your life. While they cling to what was never theirs, the abundance that was always destined for you is finding its way back, stronger and more certain than ever before. No matter how tightly they cling to what was never theirs, they cannot hold back the inevitable. The harder they fight to keep it, the faster it slips through their fingers, like sand in a clenched fist. They told themselves stories to justify their actions, that they were protecting the family, safeguarding wealth, or making the responsible choice. They convinced themselves that you were unworthy, incapable, undeserving of what was rightfully yours. But no amount of justification can stand against divine order. What was stolen will always find its way back, and no excuses, no manipulations, no schemes can stop the flow of justice. As they sink deeper into the weight of their own lies, you rise higher, carried by the undeniable truth that what is meant for you will always return. This isn't revenge, it's restoration. And no false narrative can rewrite what was always destined to be yours. They told themselves it was for the family's legacy, a noble act to protect what they claimed was theirs to safeguard. But beneath the surface, it was never about the family. It was about greed, control, and power. They hoarded the wealth not to preserve it, but to keep it out of your hands, to ensure that you remained beneath them, dependent and powerless. They believed that by shutting you out, they could secure their own dominance, their own future. Yet the very walls they built to keep you out have become their own undoing. Their finances are unraveling, their savings vanishing, their once prized assets losing value. The fortress they thought would protect them has turned into a prison of their own making, locking them in with the weight of their deception. Wealth gained and guarded through greed can never prosper. It becomes a curse, draining the very life from those who cling to it. While they struggle to hold on to their crumbling empire, the truth is clear. What they tried to take from you was never truly theirs to keep. One by one, their illusions of control are unraveling. Unexpected debts pile up, legal battles drain their resources, and the financial security they clung to slips further out of reach. The chaos they never anticipated is now consuming them, and the harder they fight to hold on, the faster everything falls apart. Meanwhile, you are rising, as if the weight of their greed was the only thing holding you back. You were never meant to live in lack, never meant to struggle under the burden of what was rightfully yours. Now, the universe is setting things right, restoring balance, and returning what was stolen. The irony is undeniable. Had they chosen integrity, they could have preserved their own peace. But instead, their greed has become their undoing, and the wealth they tried to withhold from you is the very thing tearing their world apart. What was meant for you will never bring them comfort, only chaos, because it was always destined to find its way back to you. The weight of their choices has become too heavy to bear, and yet they cling to what was never theirs, refusing to release it, even as it drags them deeper into ruin. Each moment of resistance only tightens the grip of karma, turning what could have been a chance for redemption into an unstoppable reckoning. The cracks beneath their feet are widening, the foundation they once trusted crumbling faster with every attempt to hold on. What they built on dishonesty is no longer just falling apart, it is collapsing in on itself, pulling everything they valued into the void. They thought they could escape justice, but spiritual debt demands repayment with interest, and now the cost has grown beyond anything they can afford. What was once a whisper of warning has become a roar of consequence, and the longer they fight against the inevitable, the harsher the fall will be. What they refuse to let go of is now. As their world crumbles, the truth becomes undeniable. They were never just robbing you of what was yours, they were dismantling their own legacy, piece by piece. The cost of their actions has grown far beyond what they ever imagined, and now they stand face to face with the weight of their own choices. But let us pause to honor those who stand apart, the ones who move through this world with quiet strength and unwavering resolve. Here's to the outliers, the dreamers, the silent warriors who carry the weight of unseen battles with grace. They refuse to conform, to follow the well-trodden road, because they are here to blaze trails of their own. While others cling to the safety of the familiar, they rise above, guided by a vision only they can see. These are the ones who remind us that true power lies not in what is taken, but in what is built, through integrity, resilience, and an unshakable belief in what is right. Chosen ones, pause for a moment and take action. Subscribe to the channel and share this message with those who need it, because this is no coincidence. You are exactly where you are meant to be, standing at the edge of transformation, ready to embrace the power within you. This journey is not for the faint-hearted, but for those who dare to rise above fear and step into their purpose with courage. The Illumination Inner Order is not just a call, it is a reminder that you are capable of igniting change, of shaping a reality that reflects the deepest truths of your soul. Every choice you make, every step you take, sends ripples of hope and inspiration into the world, reaching far beyond what you can see. Your light is not just a spark, it is a beacon, defying the darkness and guiding others to rise alongside you. This is your moment to stand tall, to move forward with unwavering conviction, and to know that you are part of something far greater than yourself. Together, we are building a brighter future, one bold act at a time. The time is now. The power is yours. And the world is waiting for the change only you can bring. They clung to what was never meant for them, believing their schemes and manipulations could rewrite destiny. Every move they made to hoard, to control, to obstruct, only tightened the karmic noose around them. What they failed to see was that the power they sought to claim was never theirs to wield. It was yours. All was destined for you. And now, as the universe sets things in motion, their resistance only accelerates their downfall. The harder they grasp, the faster it slips away, leaving them with nothing but the weight of their own choices. Meanwhile, you ascend, carried by the justice of the universe and the strength of your own resilience. What was stolen is being restored, and the blessings they tried to block are now fueling your rise. This is the balance they never accounted for. What is meant for you will always find its way, no matter how hard they try to stop it. The energy they tried to bury has become unstoppable, lifting you higher with every passing moment. The universe is working in your favor, aligning pathways, creating opportunities, and unlocking the abundance that was always meant for you. What's even more beautiful is how this ripple of blessings extends beyond you. Those who believed in you, who stood by your side when the odds were stacked against you, are now reaping the rewards of their faith and loyalty. Their lives are flourishing, businesses expanding, finances multiplying, and dreams becoming reality, simply because they chose to align with truth and justice. The light they helped you protect is now shining on them, proving that standing for what is right always brings its own kind of wealth. Together you rise, carried by the energy that no one could suppress. Their illusions of control are crumbling, the foundations they built on lies and greed turning to dust beneath their feet. Every desperate attempt to cling to stolen fortune only hastens the inevitable as the universe moves with unyielding precision to restore balance. What they thought was power was merely a fleeting mirage, and now they are left to face the truth. What is not earned will never endure, and what is divinely ordained cannot be taken. The harder they resist, the faster they fall, for destiny cannot be rewritten by deceit. Divine order is relentless, ensuring that what was meant for you will always find its way, while those who tried to obstruct it are left to unravel in the chaos of their own making. Your rise was written in the stars, and no amount of betrayal could change that. Their deceit, their greed, their relentless attempts to block your blessings have only sealed their fate. The debt they owe is far greater than material wealth. It's a spiritual imbalance that demands correction. They ignored every warning, every chance to make things right, and now the consequences are unfolding with unstoppable force. What they took from you was never truly theirs, and in trying to claim it, they severed themselves from grace. The doors that once welcomed them have shut, the opportunities they once enjoyed have vanished, and the favor they once relied on has turned its back. Meanwhile, you ascend, untouched by their schemes, carried by the strength of what was always meant to be yours. Support they once relied on has vanished, like sand slipping through their fingers. Those who once stood by their side now see the truth and are stepping away, unwilling to share in the fallout of their betrayal. The luck they once flaunted has evaporated, leaving them exposed to the consequences of their actions. They thought they could deceive someone chosen by destiny and escape unscathed, but they failed to understand the sacred weight of their betrayal. Like a crumbling foundation, their deals are collapsing, partnerships dissolving, and relationships growing distant. It's not vengeance or punishment, it's the natural order of justice. When you betray someone marked by divine favor, you sever yourself from that favor, and the blessings that once flowed freely are cut off. Now, they are left to face the emptiness of their choices, watching everything they built fall apart, piece by piece, as the spiritual debt demands to be paid in full. They feel it now, the weight of their own actions pressing down on them, unrelenting and unavoidable. Everything they once held dear is slipping away, not by chance but by consequence. What they stole from you was far more than material. It was your peace, your trust, your connection to divine purpose. And now, the same betrayal they inflicted on you is circling back to them. The allies they relied on are turning their backs. The partners they trusted are walking away, and even the love they once counted on has grown cold. This is the cost of betraying someone chosen, someone protected by a higher power. They didn't just lose you, they lost the divine favor that once shielded their life. Now, no amount of wealth, influence, or cunning can undo the damage or restore what's been stripped away. They are left to face the truth. Betrayal always comes full circle, and the loss it brings is absolute. They thought their schemes had secured their victory, that their manipulation had rewritten the story, but they were blind to the truth. What is divinely assigned cannot be taken. They poured their energy into blocking your path, into stealing what was never meant for them, believing they had triumphed. But now, they are beginning to understand that your blessings were never in their hands to control. What they tried to take wasn't just material, it was a divine promise, a purpose sealed by forces far greater than their greed. No amount of plotting, no web of deceit can undo what has been written in the spiritual realm. And now, as they face the consequences of their choices, they must watch as the blessings they tried to steal return to you, untouchable and unstoppable, because destiny cannot be denied. They thought they could secure it for generations, burying the truth beneath layers of deceit, trusts, accounts, forged papers, and stolen signatures. They believed their schemes could rewrite destiny, that they could claim what was never theirs and build a legacy from it. But what they failed to understand is that what isn't meant for you will never flourish in your hands. Instead of creating stability, it will unravel into chaos. Instead of building wealth, it will drain them of peace. Instead of leaving a legacy, it will crumble into shame. No matter how far they run or how deeply they hide their actions, the weight of taking what wasn't theirs will follow them, ensuring that what they tried to claim only brings ruin, not redemption. They believed they could alter the course of destiny, that their schemes and manipulations could uproot what was divinely assigned to you. But what they failed to grasp is that destiny is not something that can be stolen or rewritten. What is marked with your name in the spiritual realm is bound to return to you, no matter how tightly they cling to it. They now stand at a crossroads, to release it willingly and face redemption, or to hold on stubbornly and watch as the universe dismantles their grip piece by piece. Slowly but surely, the very things they fought to keep are slipping away, unraveling like threads of a fabric never meant to be theirs. By the time they understand the truth, that what is yours will always find its way back to you, they will be left with nothing but the echoes of their own greed. They thought silence was safety, that staying on the sidelines would shield them from the storm. They didn't take from you, but they also didn't stand for you. They convinced themselves that neutrality was enough, that turning a blind eye would keep them untouched. But divine justice sees everything, even the quiet complicity of those who chose comfort over courage. Now, as the consequences ripple outward, they can no longer deny the truth. The cracks are spreading to everything connected to the guilty, and those who stayed silent are finding themselves caught in the fallout. Suddenly, they're scrambling to distance themselves, to escape the collapse. But it's too late. No one can remain untouched when justice is at work. The same people who once stood in defense of the guilty are now retreating, their loyalty shaken by the undeniable truth. Those who once dismissed you, who turned a blind eye to your struggle, are now watching with wide eyes as justice unfolds. They are not just spectators, they are being forced to confront their own complicity. The downfall they see is not random. It is the inevitable result of choices made in greed and deception. One by one, they are stepping away, some out of fear, unwilling to be dragged down with a sinking ship, and others out of guilt, realizing that their silence was a betrayal. And then there are those who are finally waking up, aligning themselves with you, seeing the truth for what it is. They understand now that you were never the cause of the chaos. It was those who sought to take what was not theirs. As they distance themselves from the guilty, they are moving closer to the light of truth, knowing that justice spares no one, and pretending is no longer an option. They still don't fully understand. The more they tried to hold you back, the stronger you became. Every obstacle they placed in your path, every wall they built to keep you out, only sharpened your resolve and prepared you for the rise they could never stop. They thought they could control your destiny with their greed and schemes, but they failed to see that your inheritance was never tied to their approval. It was always yours, written in places they could never reach, secured by forces beyond their comprehension. You were never meant to bow to their rules or exist under their shadow. Now, as the lines are drawn and the truth shines brighter than ever, they are left to face the reality they fought so hard to deny. You were never at their mercy, and you never will be. Every time they chose greed over integrity, every time they clung to what was never theirs, they unknowingly set a greater plan into motion. What they withheld has grown beyond their comprehension, magnified by forces they cannot control. What was once a loss has transformed into abundance, a return so extraordinary it defies explanation. This is no ordinary restoration. It is a divine reckoning, a compensation so profound that it not only balances the scales, but tips them in your favor. What was taken will be restored tenfold, and the overflow will serve as a testament to the power of justice and the unstoppable nature of what was always meant for you. Every moment they tried to hold you back only strengthened your foundation. Every betrayal became a stepping stone, every delay a divine setup for something greater. While they scramble to hold together what is crumbling in their hands, you are stepping into a season of overflow. Your expansion is unstoppable, your restoration undeniable. What they thought was their victory has turned into your elevation, and as their world shrinks under the weight of their own choices, yours is growing beyond what anyone could have imagined. You are not just reclaiming what was lost, you are stepping into a destiny they never had the power to take from you. This is not just a moment of restoration, it is the fulfillment of a promise that was written long before their schemes began. What they tried to withhold is now being returned in ways that defy explanation, multiplied beyond measure. Your inheritance was never theirs to control, and now it flows directly into your hands, not because of their approval, but because it was destined for you all along. This is your elevation, your breakthrough, your undeniable triumph. They will stand as powerless witnesses, unable to interfere, as everything they sought to block is released to you in greater measure. This is not revenge. This is the unstoppable force of divine justice, and it is your time to rise. This was never just about reclaiming what was taken. It was about restoring the order that was always meant to be. What they thought they had buried has only been growing stronger, waiting for the perfect moment to break through. The balance is shifting, the scales are tipping, and the power they clung to is slipping from their grasp. You were never defeated, never lacking, and never out of the fight. You were simply waiting for the appointed time. Every act of resistance, Every scheme, every delay has only amplified the magnitude of your return. Now, as the weight of their own greed crushes them, you rise, not just to reclaim, but to reign in the fullness of what was always yours. Your rise was never about retaliation. It was always about destiny unfolding as it was meant to. Their collapse is not your doing. It is simply the weight of their own choices bearing down on them. You do not need to fight, to chase, or to justify your worth, because what is yours is already on its way, magnified beyond measure. While they cling desperately to what was never theirs, you stand ready, steady, and certain, knowing that the shift is inevitable. This is the turning point, the moment where their illusions of control shatter, and the truth becomes undeniable. You were never beneath them, never powerless. You were always the one holding the true authority, and now the world will see it too.